Scars don't disqualify you, they credential you. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Shawn Coney, a powerhouse voice who is literally rewriting the narrative for Black women everywhere. Shawn's work centers on helping survivors understand that their scars are not disqualifications, they are credentials. She is making the world a better place by reminding Black women that God can take the very pain that tried to erase them and use it to birth the better version of them. And after our conversation, I knew I had to bring these insights to you in a way that honors the depth, the vulnerability, and the holy defiance of what it means to be marked but still moving. So let's talk about something we don't say out loud enough. There are seasons in life where you are so close to the edge that you can't see your own reflection anymore. You look in the mirror and the person staring back is unrecognizable. Maybe it's because of trauma. Maybe it's because of loss. Maybe it's because you've been cut so deeply, physically, emotionally, spiritually, that you wonder if there's anything left worth saving. Maybe you've spent so many years wearing the cape, holding the family together, leading the team, being the strong one, that you've forgotten what your actual face looks like underneath all that armor. But here's what Shawn reminded me and what I want to hold space for today. Your pain is not the end of your story. It can become the birthplace of your transformation. Even when life has cut you so deeply that you barely recognize yourself, what tried to break you does not have the final word. There is a version of you on the other side of this pain that is stronger, softer, wiser, and more rooted in God than you can see right now. Let me say that again for the ones in the back who are fighting for every breath. There is a version of you on the other side of this pain that is stronger, softer, wiser, and more rooted in God than you can see right now. Now, I know some of you are listening and thinking, that sounds nice, LeAnne, but you don't know what I've been through. You don't know how many times I've had to show up when I didn't want to. You don't know how heavy this cape is. You don't know what it's like to smile at work while your heart is shattered at home. You don't know what it's like to lead a meeting when you can barely lead yourself out of bed. And you're right, I don't know your specific story. But what I do know is this: survival is sacred, and showing up marked but moving is a form of resistance and faith. The scars you carry on your face, your body, your heart, your career are not proof that you were destroyed. They are proof that you made it. Every time you show up, even when you feel broken, you're testifying that God still has purpose for your life. You are walking evidence that pain does not get the final say. You are a living, breathing declaration that what tried to erase you failed. And as a Black woman, your faith and your refusal to quit can turn a season of near death into a testimony of new life. Being close to death, physically, emotionally, spiritually, does not mean God has abandoned you. It can become the very soil where God births a more powerful, more authentic you. That knowing inside there is more in me is not delusion, it is divine. It is God whispering to you in the wreckage, reminding you that resurrection is always on the table. Now, let me share some stories that illustrate this truth, because theory is cute, but testimony is what changes lives. And these women, these Black women, they didn't just survive, they turned their survival into a sermon. Let's talk about Viola Davis. If you don't know her story, let me paint the picture. And I'm warning you, it's not pretty. Viola grew up in deep poverty, in a rat infested apartment, dealing with chronic hunger and shame. She has spoken openly about going to school, smelling of urine, being chased and harassed by boys, and living in conditions that made her feel invisible and less than. She carried deep emotional scars into adulthood, scars that impacted her sense of worth and identity. The kind of scars that whisper in your ear at night, "You're not enough, you'll never be enough, you should just disappear." But instead of letting that pain erase her, Viola pursued education and training in acting. She channeled her lived pain into authentic, powerful performances. She leaned on faith, therapy, and storytelling as tools to reclaim her voice and heal. She chose to speak publicly about her experiences, refusing to hide where she came from. She didn't sanitize her story. She didn't pretend she came from somewhere more palatable. She said, "This is me, this is where I'm from, and I'm not ashamed." And what happened? Viola became an EGOT level talent, winning an Academy Award, Emmy, and Tony, among many other honors. She authored a memoir, Finding Me, turning her trauma into testimony that helps others confront their own pain. She uses her platform to advocate for marginalized communities and complex roles for Black women. Her childhood scars became the emotional engine behind roles that move audiences to tears and reflection. When you watch Viola Davis on screen, you're not just watching acting, you're watching alchemy. You're watching pain transformed into power. Viola's story shows Black women that the very experiences that shamed and silenced us can become our power. She embodies the truth that what tried to break you can birth a version of you that stands boldly in her calling, unafraid to tell the truth. She is living proof that your scars can become your credentials. Now let's talk about Sarah Jakes Roberts. Sarah became a teen mother at 14, walking through intense shame, brokenness, and public scrutiny as the daughter of a prominent pastor. Imagines being 14 years old, pregnant, and everyone knows. Everyone is watching. Everyone is whispering. She faced judgment, isolation, and a sense of failure. She navigated divorce and emotional turmoil as a young adult. She wrestled with identity, worthiness, and the fear that her mistakes disqualified her from ministry or leadership. She thought her life was over before it even began. But Sarah returned to a deep personal relationship with God, letting grace rewrite her story. She shared her journey transparently through books, sermons, and conferences, refusing to sugarcoat the painful parts. She didn't pretend it didn't hurt. She didn't act like she had it all together. She said, "I was broken, I was lost, and God found me anyway." She built spaces like the Woman Evolve movement to help other women confront and transform their own pain. Today, Sarah is a best selling author and co pastor of the Potter's House at One LA and in Denver, reaching millions of women globally. Her Woman Evolve conferences and teachings equip women to move from shame to purpose, seeing themselves as more than their past. She is widely recognized as a voice of hope and healing for women who feel disqualified by their story. She preaches from the pulpit that once seemed impossible for her to stand behind. She leads from the very place that tried to silence her. Sarah's testimony shows listeners that being marked by early mistakes, trauma, or public shame does not cancel God's assignment on your life. Instead, those marks can become the proof that you survived and the foundation of a ministry that helps others survive too. She turned her mess into her message. She turned her test into her testimony. And now millions of women are walking freer because she refused to stay silent. And then there's Lisa Nichols. Lisa once considered ending her life and lived in a cycle of abuse and poverty. She survived abusive relationships and deep emotional pain. She experienced severe financial hardship as a single mother on public assistance with only $11.42 in her bank account at one point. $11.42. Not enough to buy groceries, not enough to buy hope. She battled suicidal thoughts and overwhelming shame. She stood on the edge of giving up completely. But Lisa made a decision to live, to fight for her son and herself, and to seek healing and personal development. She used journaling, speaking, and self work as tools to process pain and transform limiting beliefs. She built a personal development company, sharing her story openly to help others believe change is possible. She didn't wait until she was healed to start speaking. She spoke from the wound, she spoke from the struggle, and her honesty became the bridge that others walked across to find their own freedom. Today, Lisa is a globally recognized motivational speaker, author, and CEO of Motivating the Masses. She moved from welfare to multi-million dollar entrepreneur, using her testimony as proof that transformation is possible. Her teachings center on radical self acceptance, courage, and turning your scars into service. She stands on stages around the world and says, I was here. I thought about ending it, and look at me now. Her scars became her credentials, her pain became her platform. Lisa's story shows that when you are fighting for every breath, emotionally, financially, spiritually, your choice to stay, to heal, and to keep showing up can birth a version of you that is almost unrecognizable in the best way. The woman who almost gave up became the woman who now gives millions of people a reason to keep going. Now, here's what I want you to hear. These women, Viola, Sarah, Lisa, they didn't wait until they were healed to start moving. They didn't wait until the scars faded to start speaking. They showed up marked but moving. And that is what I'm asking you to do. Not next year, not when you feel ready. Now, today, in the mess, in the middle, in the marked up, scarred up, still figuring it out version of yourself. After hearing this conversation, I want you to stop treating your pain like evidence that you are disqualified and start treating it as raw material God can use. Instead of hiding your scars, I want you to ask, what story is God trying to tell through what I survived? What testimony is being written in the very place I thought were too broken to be beautiful? I want you to take one brave, concrete step that honors the version of you God is birthing. That might be scheduling a therapy session or joining a support group. It might be journaling your story and naming what tried to erase you. It might be applying for the job, starting the business, launching the ministry, or sharing your testimony with one trusted person. It might be saying, no to something that's been draining you and yes to something that's been calling you. Whatever that step is, take it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfection. Just move. And I want you to adopt a marked but moving mindset. Decide that even if you feel cut up, exhausted, or close to giving up, you will keep showing up at work, in your dreams, in your healing journey, because you refuse to believe that pain gets the final say over your life. Decide that your scars are not your shame, they are your story, and your story matters. I want you to feel seen and validated in the raw places you usually hide. I want you to feel safe enough to admit, I'm not okay right now without shame. I want you to feel understood by someone who speaks from experience, not theory, like a survivor sitting beside you, not a judge standing over you. And after this conversation, I want you to feel hopeful, even if your circumstances haven't changed yet, because now you can imagine a future version of yourself that is stronger and more whole. I want you to feel empowered, knowing that your scars can become your testimony, your platform, your purpose. I want you to feel faith filled, believing that God has not finished writing your story and that what tried to erase you can become the doorway to transformation. So here's my final word. And I need you to hear this like your life depends on it, because maybe it does. If you're in a season where it feels like you're fighting for every breath, hear me. Your pain can become your testimony. The version of you that God is birthing out of what tried to break you is not far from reach. You are marked, yes, but you are also moving. And that movement, that refusal to quit, that decision to show up anyway is sacred. It is holy. It is resistance. It is faith in motion. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be healed completely. You just have to keep breathing, keep moving, keep believing, because the story God is writing through your scars is not finished yet. And when it's done, when you look back and see how far you've come, you're going to realize that what tried to erase you was actually the beginning of the most powerful chapter of your life. So go ahead, show up marked, show up messy, show up scarred, but show up, because the world is waiting for the version of you that only pain could birth. And that version, she's unstoppable.